There are not many like him who are both trailblazers and torchbearers of all things that can be called cinema. And ever since Alfred Hitchcock, ever since Louis Buñuel, I haven't seen a more influential filmmaker in how he humanistically and psychologically showed human suffering as well as gave a lot of hope through his humanistic approach towards cinema. His films are always taking you to difficult spaces. He's examining memory, he's examining oppression, he's examining what is it like to live in a fascist or an oppressive regime for women, for young girls, and his voice was always a feministic voice. So long before we had these wonderful female filmmakers, Saura was, probably one of the first feminists in that regard, especially if I speak of the Spanish world. And in this particular film also, and I won't give away much of the plot, I would just say that in this he's examining psychological depth of his characters, and he's doing it through a very strong socio-political commentary which has few equals. Regarding Saura, I just want to take you, since Oscar has already touched upon, his wonderful beginnings with La Casa and later on his regular, appearances at leading festivals in the world. I would just like to take you to 1968 when there were widespread student protests and worker protests happening on the streets of Paris, and at the same time Cannes Film Festival was going on, and suddenly Godard and Truffaut and they decided that we need to bring this festival to a premature end, because they were like that what's the point of talking about Dolly, what's the point of talking about close-ups when the students were being beaten on the streets. That particular day, the only film that was remaining was a film called Peppermint Frappe by Carlos Saura. And when that film screening started, Carlos Saura as well as the leading lady, Jarendil Chaplin, they both went, on the stage and they actually brought the curtains down. So bringing the festival to an end. No other filmmaker would have done that unless without the humanistic outlook that Carlos Saura had. He knew that yes, it is important to screen films, but he also understood the importance of solidarity, especially having lived in that kind of an oppressive phase wherein almost every important filmmakers were forced into exile. Louis Buñuel and all of others were not living in Spain. He was the only one who was living in Spain, who was battling the censorship, and it was because of his global popularity that even the oppressive regime of Franco, they wouldn't mess with him. But that doesn't mean that the censors were not after him. The censors were always after him, and he was always finding new languages, new ways. He was discovering and developing new cinema grammar. And as you would see in this film also, it's a very, very loaded film. It's a very visually stunning film. The photographer comes to the fore, the storyteller comes to the fore. And I think this will continue in each and every film that we have curated for you as part of this retrospective. Every week you will see a different dimension of Carlos Saura's journey as a filmmaker, and his influence as a storyteller has always remained very important. But for some reason, his films outside of Carmen and Flamenco Trilogy were not shown as extensively in India as, say, some of the films of Pedro Almodovar. So that's why I think this retrospective is very important, because it's a way of introducing Carlos Saura to the new generation of Indian audiences. Today we have Cria, cuervos, and I really hope that you enjoy this film. And after the screening, I will be available for any offline dialogue or conversation. If you have any queries, I'll be more than happy to contribute. But for now, I leave you with the movie, and I really hope that you enjoy it. Thank you so much.